Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, September 16th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's been a very busy day. I'm getting ready for the second annual Detroit African Cultural Festival. It's taking place Friday, September 17th and Saturday, September 18th at Maharis Gentry Park, 12550 Avondale Street in Detroit. 12550 Avondale Street in Detroit. I'll be speaking there on Saturday, September 18th. Saturday, it's 12 noon, 8 p.m. I'll be speaking sometime between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. So I'm getting ready for that and preparing the content for today's show, getting ready to be on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, getting ready to teach online classes, 2 online classes on Sunday. So it's been a very busy day. All right, so I want to today I want to talk about 2 stories and try to squeeze in a third one that we couldn't get to a couple of days ago. So I was going through my daily routine of reading a number of different news sources: New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, NBC, ABC, CBS, YourBlackWorld.net, thegrio.com, news1.com, and others. I saw the story from CNN. You know, we've talked about critical race theory. We've talked about the attempt to take over school boards across the country and the fight when it comes to controlling what can be taught in schools dealing with history, the fight dealing with controlling what can be taught, teaching about the history of slavery, teaching about history in general, the history of white supremacy, etc., in schools. Okay. So there's a story out of York, Pennsylvania, where students are fighting back against a book ban that was implemented back in October of 2020 by an all-white school board. Okay. An all-white school board. This is the Central York School Board for the Central York School District in York, Pennsylvania. And this fight has a community divided. Students in the Southern Pennsylvania school district are battling the latest example of panic spreading over how history and race are taught in schools across the U.S. One of the students that was interviewed by CNN, Christina Ellis, said, "I don't think a moral compass will let you ban books about equality and loving each other. I don't think a moral compass will let you ban books about equality and loving each other." I looked at some different news sources, including local news sources on this. TheHill.com has an article. Students fight back against book ban that includes Rosa Parks, Malala, and Sesame Street. And this is dealing with the CNN's Sesame Street Town Hall meeting on racism. CNN's Sesame Street Town Hall meeting on racism. So we're going to talk about this case out of Pennsylvania. It's a very, very interesting story. And just the fact that you have an all-white school board. And, you know, when we go back and look at this whole fight over critical race theory, which is really not a fight because critical race theory is not taught through K through 12 schools. That's some nonsense coming from the right wing to galvanize their base. And one of the ways they're fighting on gaining and maintaining political power is through local school boards. When you go through and look at this whole fight, the fact that it's an all-white school board is very scary. And a lot of times people may not think to run for a school board because the school board has a large say in what can be taught in schools. Local school boards have more control over what can be taught in schools than the federal government and the U.S. Board of Education, the U.S. Department of Education, I should say, U.S. Department of Education. Secretary Miguel Cardona, Secretary of the U.S. Department of Education. This is another story here. This is from thehill.com. This one here is from thehill.com. Students fight back against book ban that includes Rosa Parks, Malala Yousafzai's it's an autobiography that Malala wrote, and CNN's Sesame Street town hall on racism. One local parent said, "I don't think that a board that lacks diversity is the appropriate authority to determine what qualifies as appropriate materials to address race in the community." So we'll talk about that. Then there was a story I saw yesterday out of Minnesota. This deals with former Minneapolis, Minnesota police officer Mohamed Noor, who's of African descent. I think he's Somalian, and he was convicted of third-degree murder. Okay, back in there was the death of Justine Damond, July 15, 2017. And he was convicted on third-degree murder. Now, he was also convicted on second-degree manslaughter in her death as well. Well, a Minnesota Supreme Court on Wednesday, September 15th, reversed the third-degree murder conviction. And he can get out of prison very soon. We're going to talk about this also. Now, you have some people asking the question, well, how does this affect Derek Chauvin? Would Derek Chauvin be able to get out? No. Derek Chauvin's case is entirely different. Insider.com, BusinessInsider.com has an article also dealing with Derek Chauvin's case. But this is a very interesting turn of events here. And a lot of people were saying in the case of Mohamed Noor that he did not act with a depraved mind in the killing of Justine Razizik Damond. He did not act with a depraved mind. He fired one shot. It appears that she startled him, and it appears it was an accident. It did not appear he was had a depraved mind. Now, a lot of people say, well, it was race that played a big part in his conviction because he's of African descent and she's a blonde-haired white woman. Okay, and I would say go with that feeling. I would say, as Smokey Robinson said, I second that emotion. Okay, because if the officer had been white and she had been African American or something, I don't think he would have been convicted. All right, so if people have that feeling, I would say I second that emotion. Okay, so we'll discuss that, and then I wanted to try to squeeze in this story here. We talked about this a couple of days ago. Democrats have unveiled the Freedom to Vote Act. Senator Raphael Warnock is co-sponsor of the bill. He helped write the bill. Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia helped write the bill a lot. Joe Manchin says this is something that he can get 10 Republicans to vote for. We're still trying to find these 10 Republicans. We want to know where's Waldo and where are the 10 Republicans that are going to vote for the Freedom to Vote Act. Where are they? But Stacey Abrams was on All In with Chris Hayes a couple of days ago, and she was talking about this new bill. So I want to squeeze that in also. Stacey Abrams on voting rights bill. I'm excited and very supportive, she said. So we want to try to squeeze that in. Now, we'll also let you know about the 10-week online course that just started up that I teach on the weekends. We have class number 2 this Sunday. So we'll let you know about that as well. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects your own behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Sign up for our email newsletter there as well. All right, I want to jump into this first story here. So it's a good article from CNN. Good article from CNN about this. This deals with students in York, Pennsylvania. Students in York, Pennsylvania that are fighting against a book ban. Okay. When we come back from the break, Shakita, we're going to go to clip number 1. They're fighting against this book ban. And I want to pull this article up here. So this book ban was implemented in October 2020 by an all-white school board, which is problematic right there. All-white school board. So we look at this article here. Students fight back against book ban that has a Pennsylvania community divided. Okay. So students in a southern Pennsylvania school district are battling the latest example of panic spreading over how history and race are taught in schools across the U.S. Now, Christina Ellis was a student interviewed by CNN. She said, "I don't think a moral compass will let you ban books about equality and loving each other." Okay, I don't think a moral compass will let you ban books about equality and loving each other. Now, Christina Ellis is among the students protesting a book ban in York, Pennsylvania, and she questions whether the officials who decided to remove certain reading materials from the curriculum even read the resources they deemed controversial. She was joined by other teens protesting in front of Central York High School this week. We're coming up here on the break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. You can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Okay, we'll pick up this story when we come back from the break. R. Kelly trial starts back up on Friday, so we'll resume our coverage of the R. Kelly trial and discussion of that. Stand by. Okay, you can register for the 10-week online course that I teach on Saturdays, and we have a special class on this Sunday, September 9th. Sunday, September 19th. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register there. And I'll post a link here also. This weekend, I'll be at the second annual Detroit African Cultural Festival. Second annual Detroit African Cultural Festival taking place here in Detroit.
History and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation. 910, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, September 16th, 2021. And we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right. I want to remind you, coming up Friday, September 17th and Saturday, September 18th, the second annual Detroit African Cultural Festival. Friday is 12 noon to 6 p.m. Saturday, 12 noon to 8 p.m. I'll be speaking on Saturday there sometime between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is taking place at Maharis Gentry Park, 12550 Avondale Street in Detroit. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We also have a link to the Detroit African Cultural Festival's website, which is DetroitACF.org, DetroitACF.org. Okay, so it's a free event. Bring the family. There'll be African dance, drumming, all different types of activities for children. There'll be vendors there, Black-owned businesses. We'll have a vendor booth also for the African History Network. You can come talk to me. I have my DD lectures there. We'll be registering people for our online classes also. Okay, so visit AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, now we're going to go back to this story here. Dealing with students in York, Pennsylvania, are fighting back against a book ban by an all-white. It's a book ban by an all-white school board. Okay, and just a reminder, I'll be on Roland Martin Unfiltered again on Friday. You've seen some social media posts I've done about Nicki Minaj and these idiotic comments she made and things like this. We may address that on Friday, maybe Sunday. I understand. Oh, speaking of Sunday, Dr. Linda Jeffries and Professor James Small will be our guests on our Sunday night, Sunday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I'm going to address Nicki, this idiotic nonsense. And the way, just to give you a preview, I ain't going to address Nicki the way a lot of other people doing it. Because, see, let's be honest. See, Nicki Minaj wants to call Joanne Reed names. Nicki Minaj has built her career and made millions of dollars calling Black women B's, H's, thoughts, marketing prostitution, all that. So it's like, hold on, wait, hold on. I don't think you want to go down that road. Let's just be honest. She's made a career calling Black people the N-word and dehumanizing us in her lyrics. I'm not against her. She's a tool of white supremacy. She's being used by white supremacy. I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I think she's being used. Same thing I said about Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. They're being used. So we're going to address that. Maybe we may have to do it off 9:10 a.m. Superstation, because I may have to use some language that's not approved by the FCC. But that's something to come. All right, let's get back to this story. So let's go back to this article here from CNN. Oh yeah, because I got to show you her lyrics, so we can't do that on this air. We can't do this on 9:10 because I got to show you her uncensored lyrics. We're gonna go through and deconstruct this whole thing. All right. I just thought about it. Yeah, we can't. The way I'm going to do this is a whole nother different way. All right. So back to the story here. Christina Ellis is among the students protesting a book ban in York, Pennsylvania, and questions whether the officials who decided to remove certain reading materials from the curriculum even read the resources they deemed controversial. She was joined by other teens protesting in front of Central York High School this week. Now, on Monday, that was this past Monday, that was Monday, September 13th. On Monday, students, parents, and other community members debated during a virtual school board meeting about the list of anti-racism books, and resources that were banned from the curriculum by the Central York School Board last year, all-white school board. Okay, now school is starting back up. Okay, you're in this climate, this climate filled with hatred and attacks on critical race theory that was spurred by Donald Trump in September 2020 when he signed an executive order banning diversity training at the federal level for federal employees. We've talked about that here on this show before. 2-3 years ago, people weren't up in arms about critical race theory. Critical race theory is a decades-old analysis of laws and policies and how they perpetuate racism and target non-white people. Critical race theory didn't start in 2020. All right? This is a whole bunch of nonsense. And as we said before, we talked about critical race theory yesterday. Critical race theory is taught in grad schools, law schools, and at the college level, largely graduate schools and law schools. It's not taught in K through 12. So last October 2020, the all-white school board unanimously banned a list of educational resources that included a children's book about Rosa Parks. Oh my God, a children's book about Rosa Parks, that's controversial? Malala Yousafzai's autobiography and CNN's Sesame Street town hall on racism. Sesame Street's town hall on racism. Now, was it something about Elmo that they didn't like? What Sesame Street's town hall about racism? This gets banned. You didn't like the fact that Elmo was created by a black man or something? What was it? What? I don't understand this. From chaotic school board meetings to political strife along party lines, debates about diverse curriculum have ignited controversy across the country in recent months. And earlier this month, a new Texas law aimed at restricting discussions of race and history in schools had some educators second guessing themselves and foregoing civics-related activities to avoid running afoul of it. But in York, Pennsylvania, discussions about race erupted in the wake of last summer's protests, and students started having more conversations. So summer 2020, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Black Lives Matter protests. Okay. So amid these protests during the summer, students started having more conversations about racism and creating more inclusive environments. School officials say it's not a ban, a ban, it's not a ban, and the materials are frozen while the board vets the materials. But the process has taken nearly a year to vet the material. So they're suspended in animation like Steve Rogers, like Captain America. How long does it take to vet this material? Why can't as you vet each book, you approve it and it can be used? But this process has taken nearly a year. At the virtual school board meeting on Monday, district leaders said the materials are still prohibited. Now, some students and their parents said it's frustrating and questioned the logic of a school board that they said is not diverse and does not address the concerns of a multicultural student body. I think the logic is white supremacy. I could be wrong, but that's what it sounds like to me. So I want to go to this clip here. This is from CNN. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
Do you think the adults that banned these books have read these books?
Absolutely not.
No, definitely not.
Absolutely not. Because I don't think a moral compass could let you ban books that say equality and loving each other.
These teenagers in York, Pennsylvania are standing up to the latest example of controversy surrounding history and race that is affecting a growing number of America's public schools. Last fall, the all-white school board of the Central York School District unanimously banned a list of educational resources.
That resource list, which has a lot of bad ideas and some books that I would definitely not want in our district.
And I do not feel it's balanced, and I think it's divisive.
That list includes a children's book about Rosa Parks, Malala Yousafzai's autobiography, CNN's Sesame Street Town Hall on racism, and much, much more.
This is Hidden Figures. The movie was,
Like from the movie?
Yeah.
So the kids' version of the book from the movie?
Yeah.
It's frustrating for the students.
This is a board that, after hearing their students' concerns about diversity in the district, hearing my struggles with race, being an Indian American, and consistently feeling like I didn't belong, after all those conversations for weeks on end, they still pursued this book ban. I want to learn genuine history. I don't want to learn a whitewashed version. I want to hear all of it. I don't want everyone to be worried about how we feel, because no one was worried about how BIPOC members of the community felt.
The ban caused school librarians to pull books from shelves and is creating real fear among educators.
I have to now, with this resource ban, think twice about whether or not I should or could use a James Baldwin quote as an opening for my class.
There are teachers looking over their shoulders, wondering if someone's going to be at their door, darkening their door, that you said something or you mentioned something or you used something that you were not supposed to.
The fact that all the banned materials are by or about people of color is just a coincidence, according to the school board president. Concerns were based on the content of the resources, not the author or topic, she said in a statement. She and the rest of the school board refused to speak on camera. She says it's not a ban. The materials are frozen while the board vets them. But the process is still ongoing after nearly a year. That suits some parents in this 82% white district just fine.
I don't want my daughter growing up feeling guilty because she's white.
That sentiment is spreading. At least 27 states have passed or are considering policies strictly defining what students are allowed to learn about race. One expert says the York ban is something new.
Yeah, this seems pretty egregious. I mean, I can see how certain trainings or workshops that some parents take exception to seem really outside of what a history class can be expected to do. But the kind of texts that are being banned here make me feel that there is now just sort of an allergy to anything that mentions race or racism.
This is about more than a book or a movie or even a curriculum, some veteran teachers say. In York, they worry it's a war on their profession.
I am not an enemy of the state.
That's right.
I am here to take care of your babies when they walk into my classroom. And there are some I'm looking up at, but they're still babies.
All right. Thanks, Shakita. That's from CNN. Now, we're going to go to the phone lines in just a second. Hold the line, LaShonda. We'll go to the phone lines in just a second. But you had one parent who said, I don't want my child to feel guilty about being white. What is it about learning history that you think would make your child feel guilty about being white? Are you maybe afraid of some of your ancestors in your family tree and what they did? I mean, we have to deal with real history. What is it about? Nobody's trying to make white people feel guilty about being white, just like we're not trying to make, teaching the history, we're not trying to make African-American children feel guilty that some of their ancestors were slaves. We have to deal with the real history. Okay? You have to understand the laws and policies put in place and the historical events that happened to bring us to where we are right now. The fights that are taking place right now, the January 6th insurrection, that's a continuation of domestic terrorism called the U.S. Civil War, which was a lot of white on white crime. That's a continuation of the U.S. Civil War. That's a continuation of the political violence that was inflicted upon African Americans and white Republicans who were allies with African Americans after the Civil War ends, like the Opelousas Massacre of 1868 in Opelousas, Louisiana. There was domestic terrorism that white Southerners were inflicting upon African Americans who were getting elected into public office and were voting, okay, especially after the 15th Amendment. And then after Reconstruction ends in 1877, then you're going to have white Southerners take back control of the state legislatures. The South Carolina state legislature during Reconstruction, that was made up majority of African Americans. In Mississippi, African Americans were the majority of the population of Mississippi in 1890, when the minority population implements the Mississippi Plan, and the Mississippi Plan rewrote the Mississippi State Constitution and instituted poll taxes and literacy tests to suppress the African American vote. This became a model that was used by other Southern states. South Carolina implements it in 1895. Louisiana implements it in 1898. They're writing this into their state constitution. They're encoding white supremacy into their state constitution. Alabama does this in 1901. The reason why you needed a Voting Rights Act in 1965 is to deal with what happened in the 1890s and early 1900s when these former Confederate states take back control of their state legislatures and write laws to put obstacles in the way of the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. That history has to be taught. That history has to be taught because a lot of people don't understand this history. That's a legacy of slavery. That's understanding racism as a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race, coming out of the ideology of European white supremacy. You have some white parents who probably feel guilty about what some of their ancestors did. We're not teaching this history to make you feel guilty. That's something you got to reckon with. One of the books they're banning is Hidden Figures, about the black women working for NASA. This is crazy. This is why we have to run for school board positions. And if you look at this article, we'll go to the phone lines in just a second. If you look at the article that we talked about numerous times here on the show before, this is why I don't have a whole lot of time to deal with all this. Everybody want to talk about Nicki Minaj, all this stuff. Okay, we deal with COVID, all that stuff, man. All those hot topics. I don't have time to jump on that. This is real stuff. Very few people are talking about this story here. There was so this one right here from NBC News, how Trump ignited the fight over critical race theory. This is a crucial article. Okay, this is how dangerous a white supremacist like Donald Trump is. This is how dangerous he is. How Trump ignited the fight over critical race theory in schools. Republican lawmakers across the country have proposed bills to ban critical race theory in K-12 schools, even though critical race theory is not taught, but they want to crack down on anything. They want to crack down on what can be taught about history, what can be taught about the history of slavery, racism, systemic racism, white supremacy. Whoever controls the teaching of the past will control the trajectory of the future. That's what this is about. Whoever controls the teaching of the past will control the trajectory of the future. This is from May 10th, 2021. And this ties into the executive order that Donald Trump did in September 2020, ordering the Office of Management and Budget to stop funding training on critical race theory for federal employees, calling it a propaganda effort. And then he attacked the 1619 Project. He said he didn't know anything about 1619. Now, I'm sure you don't know anything about 1619 because he's dumb as hell. Okay. And he created this 1776 Project that was distorting history. Luckily, Joe Biden disbanded the 1776 Project that Donald Trump put in place, and he took that 1776 project report off of White House. Go read this article, because see, this is where this stuff starts, right here. Then you have the fight over school boards that is being funded by right-wing organizations and amplified by Trump TV, white nationalist TV, also known as Fox News. Okay, there's another big article here from NBC News. This one is critical race theory. Let me see. Hold on. It's bringing up critical race theory battle invades school boards. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. This is a 17-page article. How do I know? See, this is one of my file folders on critical race theory. And I printed the article. It's 17 pages. That's how I know. I went through and read this article. Okay. Go read this. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. In towns nationwide, conservative activists and Fox News have ramped up the tension in fights over race and equity in schools. Okay, this goes through and exposes all of this stuff. And one of the things it talks about is why are these crazy parents showing up? Why are these? First of all, you got people showing up to school board meetings that don't even have children in the schools, raising all type of hell. Or where these people come from? Okay, so when you read this article, it talks about how you have 165. It's about 165 organizations. Let me find that here. There's about 165 organizations that are being funded right here. Conflict like this are playing out in cities and towns across the country. Amid the rise of at least 165 national groups that aim to disrupt lessons on race and gender, according to an NBC News analysis of media reports and organizations promotional materials, reinforced by conservative think tanks, law firms, and activist parents. These groups have found allies in families frustrated over COVID-19 restrictions in schools and have weaponized the right's opposition to critical race theory, turning it into a political rallying point. This is becoming a galvanizing force, like white supremacy is a galvanizing force. This is a galvanizing force, like taking back control of state legislatures in the South after Reconstruction ended to fully reimpose white supremacy. This is what happened after Reconstruction ends in 1877. These are the same fights that are taking place right now in state legislatures. And we don't understand enough about history to be able to fight against this. That's why you got to vote these people out of office. You have to take them out of power. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. And they're willing to sacrifice their children to achieve their agenda. This is why you got dumbass governors like Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who wants to be president. Dumbass governors like Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, who have written executive orders against mass mandates in schools. They don't even want to protect white children. This is how crazy these people are. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to LaShonda. Line 1, LaShonda, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from.
Thank you so much. Good evening. 2 questions.
Yep.
Which relates to Nicki Minaj.
Mm-hmm.
Her story about her father is something that lays into who she is, if you know the history, and I know you do.
Which story about her father? Which story about her father?
Trinidad. I'm sorry?
Which story about her father are you talking about?
Nicki Minaj.
I know Nicki Minaj. Which story about her father are you talking about?
There is no story about her father unless you just go to find about her father. There's no story about him.
Okay. What's your next point?
But I'm asking you.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
Well, when we talk about Nicki and her position as she is on right-wing TV and the that whole bit.
Yeah, she's being praised by people like Tucker
I'm
Carlson
asking you.
on she's being praised by people like Tucker Carlson on
I
Fox
saw it
News.
yesterday.
Yeah.
The first. For those that follow, I was very surprised that she was not second on his show. She was first, and his agreement to her position. My thing in my conversation to you, Professor, Doctor, is that Nicki Minaj just did not come to be who she is today. Her lineage, her legacy, her parents is not a part of the conversation that I have not heard throughout her stardom.
Okay.
I've never heard. Same thing with Kamala Harris. I've never really heard the story about Kamala Harris's father, even though we heard certain stories about his disagreement with her with that, cannabis conversation, and her mother. And why is it, and this is my question and this is my call, we have two women who have parents who have what we don't call here in America the true blood, parents who toiled the soil. But these two women, in their own dynamic ways, are what I call, and if you could agree or educate me, these two women have parents who are not from America.
Well, not originally from America. They
have
immigrated to America. Yeah, they immigrated to America. Their parents, both of their parents, both of their parents immigrated. Both of their parents immigrated to America, but at the same time, you have people like Shirley Chisholm.
Not but, you said but.
You have people like Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah, and
you have people like
absolutely.
You have people like Malcolm X, whose parents did not originate here, as well. You have people like Shirley Chisholm, Malcolm X. You have a lot of us that have. You have a lot of us who have ancestry from the. You have slow down. You asked me a question. If you don't want me to answer, don't ask the question. You have a lot. You have a lot of us. You have a lot of us who have ancestry and who have parents, either first generation, second generation, who come from the Caribbean. Now, there's you can Google information on Nicki Minaj. I've seen interviews with a mother. You can Google information on her father and her parents if you want that information. Same thing with Kamala Harris. Did you have a second question? Because I got more information to get to. Okay, thanks for calling. All right. Okay. And also research Nat Turner. Nat Turner's mother came from Haiti. I mean, come on. So let's go back to this article here. Let's see here. So in the clip, you heard one teacher. His name is Ben Hodge. I'm gonna pull this up, show a picture of Ben Hodge. Ben Hodge is a white teacher, and he said this almost. He said, I have to now, with this resource ban, think twice about whether or not I should call or use a James Baldwin quote about an opening for my class. This is Ben Hodge right here. He's a teacher at Central York High School. All right. And then this is Patricia Jackson. Yeah, she's a teacher as well. She's holding up a book called what is it? Let me see. We'll look at the name of this book. Not Quite Snow White. Not Quite Snow White. And he's holding up a James Baldwin book. All right. So hopefully we'll hear more about this story, because a lot of people are talking about all this other stuff and jumping on all these other topics. Very few people are talking about this right here. And you have students and teachers who say, teach us the real history. Okay, teach us the real history. Now you have a lot of people don't want the real history taught, and some of them black also don't want they want to put out conspiracy theories and a bunch of BS and elevate their social media platforms and all type of nonsense like that. Okay, all right. So read the rest of this article. Now it was, let me see, hold on. It was, these teachers are looking up. Okay, so check out the rest of this article. I want to get to this next story here from, this one here is from NBC News. Also, Politico has an article about this, and yourblackworld.net. This deals with Mohamed Noor, okay? Former Minneapolis police officer, Mohamed Noor, who in 2017, July 15, 2017, shot and killed Justine Razizik Damond. We all heard about this story. The story came up again. This shooting, this killing, came up again with the Derek Chauvin trial. Okay, and people were talking about. So he was convicted on third-degree murder. It appears that the shooting, okay, the third-degree murder. It appears that the shooting was accidental. Was not. It appears he was startled and shot and killed her. All right. A recap on this story here, and this came up when the prosecutors wanted to be able to charge Derek Chauvin with third-degree murder, okay, in the killing of George Floyd. This case came up, and a lot of people were saying, well, wait a second, if you can charge this African-American police officer with third-degree murder, you should be able to charge this white police officer with third-degree murder. So if you look at this story here from NBC News, and Politico.com has a good article on this as well. Okay, let's bring this back up. Let's look at this here. Minnesota High Court tosses murder conviction against Mohamed Noor, former Minneapolis police officer. Noor's second-degree manslaughter conviction still stands in the July 15th, 2017 slaying of Justine Razizik Damond. Let's go to clip 2. Shakita, we're gonna squeeze this in before we're out of time here. Clip 2 from NBC News.
I knew in an instant that I was wrong. Mohamed Noor's murder conviction and 12.5-year sentence are tossed after the Minnesota Supreme Court reviewed the former Minneapolis police officer's appeal.
That law is simply that an individual cannot commit depraved mind murder if their conduct is focused on a specific particular person, as was the case here.
Now that third-degree murder, sometimes called depraved mind murder, is out, Noor will be resentenced for second-degree manslaughter. The jury also found him guilty of that charge, and that conviction will stand. Noor has already spent 29 months in prison, so if the judge follows the presumptive guideline sentence for that charge, he could be freed next month.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to talk with Mohamed Noor. He was just beside himself with appreciation. He is the kindest, most gentle person you've ever met. But he's a family man. He wants to get back to his family.
While Noor and his legal team are celebrating, the family of his victim, Justine Ruszczyk, are saddened. Fiancé Don Damon in the statement saying in part, "I've lived with the tragic loss of Justine, and none of this can hurt my heart more than it has been. But now it truly feels there's been no justice for Justine." Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman in the statement said they are disappointed in the Supreme Court's decision, but accept the result. They'll ask for the maximum sentence possible when Noor returns to Judge Kathleen Quainton's courtroom.
Okay, that is from NBC News. Now, in this case, Justine Damond had called 911 that night, believing she heard a woman in her neighborhood being assaulted. When Justine Damond went outside to greet police, she startled the responding officers. Officer at the time, Mohamed Noor, and his partner Matthew Harity, the officer said. Mohamed Noor fired one shot, killing the innocent 911 caller, Justine Demond, police were never able to conclude that there had been an assault in Demond's neighborhood. Hennepin County Attorney Michael O. Freeman said his prosecutors are, quote unquote, disappointed by Wednesday's ruling, but they, quote, respect and acknowledge that the Minnesota Supreme Court is the final arbiter in this matter, end quote. Now, what the High Court ruled that prosecutors did not prove that at the time Officer Mohamed Noor had acted with a, quote unquote, depraved mind without regard for human life, end quote, which would be needed for the third-degree murder conviction. Okay, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching with it, keep going for a few more minutes. We'll be back tomorrow. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, stand by. Okay, so if we look at the rest of this article, and we'll pull it up here. This is the one from NBC News. Let's scroll down to this here. Okay, so they said the statute has always been used in cases when a defendant is accused of endangering multiple people and not targeting a single individual, according to the court. So this is something that people were asking when this case took place. They were saying, wait a second, what he allegedly did not rise to the level of operating with a depraved mind. He fired one shot. It appears that it appeared reasonable that he was startled and fired the shot. Okay, it wasn't a depraved mind. I guarantee you, if it had been a white officer, an African-American woman, there would not have been a conviction. Let's look at this here. So Justine Demond had called 911 that night, believing she had heard a woman in her neighborhood being assaulted. When Demond went outside to greet police, she startled the responding officers, Noor and partner Matthew Harity. The officer said Noor fired one shot, killing the innocent 911 caller Demond. Police were never able to conclude that there had been an assault in Demond's neighborhood. Okay. Now, Michael O. Freeman, Hennepin County prosecutor, said his manslaughter conviction was just. The case has been remanded to the trial court for sentencing, and we will seek the maximum sentence possible. The Chief Justice said the court and prosecutors agree that Mohamed Noor's decision to shoot a deadly weapon simply because he was startled was disproportionate and unreasonable. Noor's conduct is especially troubling given the trust that citizens should be able to place in our peace officers, but the tragic circumstances of this case do not change the fact that Noor's conduct was directed with particularity toward Razizik, okay, as opposed to a group of people. Okay, it was directed towards one person. The city of Minneapolis agreed to a $20 million settlement with the woman's family. She was a dual citizen of the United States and Australia, a dual citizen from the United States and Australia. It's a tragedy all the way around. But a lot of people were saying, wait a second, how does that meet the standard of acting with a depraved mind? Okay, I want to go back to that part here. This is page 2 of this piece here from NBC News. Let's see here. Where is that? Okay, I talked to right here. Okay, the High Court ruled, the Minnesota State Supreme Court, the High Court ruled that prosecutors did not prove that Officer Mohamed Noor had acted with a depraved mind without regard for human life, which would be needed for the third-degree murder conviction. So they're saying he was wrongfully convicted on this charge. Now, the statute has always been used in cases when a defendant is accused of endangering multiple people and not targeting a single individual, according to the court. So as it goes on to say, he's now looking, Noor is now looking at a sentence of between 41 months to 57 months for the lesser conviction. Okay. He was also convicted on second-degree manslaughter in the death of Justine Razizik Damon. So the third-degree conviction is third-degree murder conviction is thrown out. The second-degree manslaughter conviction stands. He's now looking at a sentence of between 41 months to 57 months for that lesser conviction. Okay. If he's hit with a 4-year manslaughter term, the former officer should be eligible for release after doing 2/3 of that time and walk free by late this year. Noor's appellate lawyer, Peter Wold, W-O-L-D, said. Okay, Noor has been behind bars since he was convicted April 30th, 2019. Okay, read the rest of this article here from NBC News. Politico.com has a good one as well on this case. And, you know, once again, people were sitting back, legal experts and things, they were sitting back and looking at this and saying, wait a second. You know, this third-degree murder conviction doesn't make sense. You know, so now some people are saying, well, wait a second. Does this mean Derek Chauvin is going to get out of prison or what happened? No. Let's look at this piece here from insider.com. Because the Derek Chauvin case was something entirely different. I think you're talking about almost 9 minutes torturing George Floyd. That's something entirely different. That was no accident. Okay. That wasn't like, oh, I was startled. No, that's an entirely different case. Okay. His ass is toast. All right. Let's look at, let me pull this other one up here. Just a second. Insider. All right, right here. A Minnesota court overturned the murder conviction. A Minnesota court overturned the murder conviction of an ex-cop who killed an Australian woman, but it's unlikely to affect Derek Chauvin. It's unlikely to affect Derek Chauvin. Let's look quickly here at this piece from insider.com. It's just like with Amber Geiger. I remember when so a couple of months ago, Amber Geiger's attorney applied to have her conviction overturned and get a new trial or something like that. And people were, oh, she's going to get out of prison. No, she's not. I said a year ago when we first got the news, she was going to appeal her conviction. I said, oh, no, she's not going to get out of prison. They're not going to overturn that. No, you have to prove that there was something substantially wrong, some impropriety with the actual trial. That don't exist. No, that doesn't exist. Okay, a Minnesota court overturned the murder conviction of an ex-cop. Let's see here. Minnesota's top court overturned the murder conviction Wednesday for former Minneapolis Police Officer Mohamed Noor, who was found guilty of murder and manslaughter in third-degree manslaughter in the killing of Justine Razizik Damon 2017. The ruling could have consequences for Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police convicted. Okay, Noor was charged. Okay, we did all that. A jury found Noor. We know that too. The Supreme Court ordered, according to Associated Press, prosecutors. The ruling, however, the ruling may limit additional charges against Derek Chauvin's police colleagues who were present during George Floyd's killing. Prosecutors accused Thomas Lane, Jake Kueng, and Tile of aiding and abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter. aiding and abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter, and had considered adding a charge of aiding and abetting third-degree murder as well. Prosecutors are now less likely to add the additional charge, according to Associated Press. Lang, Kueng, and Tao all pleaded not guilty to the charges against them and are expected to go to trial March 22nd. Okay. But this change here is unlikely to affect Derek Chauvin's conviction. His case is, the evidence against him is overwhelming. That case is entirely different. Okay, so check this out from insider.com also. All right, this last clip, we'll get to that. We have to get that tomorrow. Then with Stacey Abrams, we'll get to that tomorrow. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Let's see, I will be this weekend. I'll be at the second annual Detroit African Cultural Festival. This is taking place Friday, September 17th, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Saturday, September 18th, 12 noon to 8 p.m. I'll be there on Saturday. I'm going to try to run through there on Friday. I have to, when I do Roland's show, they send us a package of about 8 to 10 articles, news articles that I have to read through to prepare to be on the show. It's not a situation where you just get on there and just talk about whatever. No, you have to prepare to be on the show. So I'm going to try to swing through there Friday for an hour or two, but I got to prepare to be on his show, and I have to prepare content for my show tomorrow night because I have to do his show from 6 to 8 and then do my show from 11 to midnight. So I'm going to try to swing through there for about an hour on Friday, but I'm there all day Saturday. Saturday is 12 noon to 8 p.m. I speak on Saturday sometime between 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is taking place at Maharis Gentry Park. Maharis Gentry Park. The website, you can visit that website, DetroitACF.org. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click right here on the link. It takes you to their website. They have information here. Information about workshops. They have a children's corner, African drumming, vendors. Will be a vendor there also for the African History Network. So come on out and check that out. It's a free event. Okay, now also coming up on our show Sunday, we'll have Dr. Linda Jeffries, one of my teachers, and another one of my teachers, Professor James Small, here on the show. They're going to talk about the documentary Hapi, which deals with the role of economic empowerment and the role of economics in development of civilization. And we'll talk about the screening of the documentary Hapi that is taking place at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History Sunday, September 26, 3 p.m. I'll be moderating a panel discussion dealing with the film Hapi. I'll be moderating the panel discussion there, and we're going to show a screening of the film. Visit hapifilm.com for more information, hapifilm.com for more information. And we also have this at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and the link is right here also. Okay? And be sure to register for the 10-week online course that I teach. Next class is going to be Sunday, September 19th. Special day. Normally it's on Saturdays, but I'll be at the second annual Detroit African Cultural Festival. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Some of the information we talked about tonight, we deal with in the class. We go through and look at history. We look at what led up to the Civil War taking place. And we go through each class and analyze approximately a 10-year period of history to see what happened to us after slavery ended. What happened to us after slavery ended, the laws and policies put in place, and also our successes as well. We go through Jim Crow era, Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, Civil War, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, Black Power movement. Okay, we do the class live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's right on the homepage. The class is regularly $130. It's discounted right now to $70. It's discounted right now to $70. And as soon as you register, you can watch class number 1. We do the class live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. Even next year, even after the 10-week online course is over with, you'll still have access to the full 10 weeks. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. There's a timeline of history that we go through and look at as well. So it's a ton of information in that class. And one of the things we look at are laws and policies that were put in place to put us in the position we are in right now. And we see how history is repeating itself also. Okay. And we see the suppression of the African-American vote, especially after Reconstruction ends. And we see political violence inflicted upon African-Americans as well. All right. This is from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. If you'd like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. We're here 6 days a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Okay. And this is our official Cash App account here. You go to it, it shows my picture, and it says Michael $ the AHN Show, SHOW. These other Cash App accounts are fake African History Network Cash App accounts that I did not set up. All right. We have to get out of here. Remember, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Look out for me on Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Download the Black Star Media app, Roland's new Black Star Media app. And he's streaming on Roku and Amazon devices. He's streaming all over the place now. The Black Star Media Network. And then he's still also broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube at Roland Martin on Facebook and YouTube. All right. We have to get out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.